Well, they'll be
sworn in that night before
our
their special
budget
meeting.
workshop. So very good. Okay, Mr. Simpson.
I too would like to echo the mayor's sentiment. I believe the City Council of DeKalb will be in good hands, both with the combination of the newly elected and the incumbent. However, I feel the need to provide a little clarity and ask for an apology. When last we were here, we were chastised as a council because of practices alleged to occur during the election, and I assume that chastisement was directed at those of us who were actually running. It was said that honesty needed to be a hallmark and ethics needed to be a hallmark of our electoral campaigns. And I agree with that. But I don't think it was completely honest in the other direction. In fact, there's a gentleman here tonight who wrote a letter supporting my opponent and suggesting that one of the reasons, or two of the reasons you shouldn't vote for me was because A, this council had voted to raise property taxes, which is not true, and two, that the council voted to lower social service funding. I believe the record will show that when the vote was taken that night, except for Councilman Naylor's routine recusing himself because of his wife's position, I was the only one on the council who voted no. So again, I would like an apology for suggesting that I voted against social service funding. Now, no, I'm not done. I'm not done. I don't only have this bully pulpit so many more times. I promise you, however, next week will be much smoother and much more humorous. Also, one of the things that was said in the campaign was the illusion that students were somehow underrepresented. Well, I resent the implication that only students can represent students. You know, whether you're Greek or non-Greek, whether you're native student or whether you're a transfer, whether you're ROTC or whether you're fine arts, whether you're an older returning adult or a new freshman out on his own. Really? Only students can represent students? Is that what we've come to? If that were the case, why would the citizens of DeKalb at some point in time in the past change their voting structure to make sure students could vote? You know, if the people who did that only thought students could represent students, why would they have let you into the process? They wanted to make the process more inclusive. Now, when it comes to my bona fides about serving the interests of students in this town, I will stack my record against anyone you find above ground. When the Sigma Chi's had someone killed during their orientation of new students, I had the authority to shut Sigma Chi down. Somebody died. But instead of doing that, I worked with that organization to keep them up and functioning. When I was the ombudsman, the vice president of student affairs asked me to spend my personal time to help her reorganize the skulls. I spent my personal time reorganizing that fraternity. Later, when I worked in student affairs, and one of the skulls got lavaliered in front, and by lavaliered I mean taped to a tree and having excrement and urine poured on him by his fraternity brothers, but that took place taped to a tree that was on the Alpha Phi property, and judicial wanted to come down on the Alpha Phis. I, who was in charge of student group conduct at the time, prevented that from happening. When an SA president was impeached, fully impeached, I was the one that took his keys from him to keep him from going back to the office to do God knows what. And later on, when I worked in student affairs, when the SA president and his executive director got the bright idea of raffling off a computer purchased with student funds, which, by the way, is illegal under state law, I was the one that saved them from themselves. So, I will gladly step over, and I do believe that the council will be in good hands, both new people and returning people. But I resent the implication that only a student can adequately represent the interests of students. Thank you.